No, no reason not to ban Zed. By far the best champion for behind this mid lane. I want to see if Cloud9 now will take a Corki in the first rotation on their side. We know Sneaker loves to play it, and we know obviously Prey. He's been picking like 9 times, 100% win rate. He's probably the best Corki player in the world itself. So I would pick that away if I was Cloud9, depending on the bans, but I'm expecting a Lulu come in as the last ban now for Cloud9.
Absolutely loving the Vi ban here by the GE Tigers, recognizing that Cloud9 should more than likely go with a hard engaged comp against him, get rid of the Vi, and now all of a sudden, Cloud9 forced to take perhaps a Sejuani if they're going to go for a team fighting.
Not allowing the Corki first rotation. Lulu is left open. Can be a pick now for balls, but Maokai as well, so they've basically ignored him. He can get whatever he wants in this top lane, so that was a big talking point. Are they going to target him out? Seems not instead. You see the Rexa ban, or you expect the Rexa ban to come in. You take the 2 next junglers in terms of Meteors, his tier list. Now it's going to be about Java and Lee Sin suddenly. Potentially a Rengar for Lee, but it's been his worst champion in that jungle, so I'm not expecting it.
So where do Cloud9 go? Do they want to try to deny that Lulu? Is it just going to be a Rumble traditionally? Traditionally, Champion Balls has done well on, but Crumbs, you're not 100% sold on Balls' performance over the last few weeks.
I think right here, though, excluding Balls, I want to touch upon the Corki pick because that opens you up to have a really strong double AD composition. Corki is the AD carry that you want for your bottom lane because he brings poke, because he brings the magic damage. So now all of a sudden, Cloud9 has to think, are they willing to run a double AD composition? Is Ezreal going to be a pick for them?
Almost. You got 50%.
Oh
Morgana locked in. Again, another elimination special.
It is, and a pick, honestly, that GE Tigers have banned quite a lot in Korea, but there's some Morgana top lane players, obviously, where the target banned it. So good pick for elimination. We got the Rumble here for Ball, so he's feeling obviously very comfortable in that lane. Jarvan can come in now, especially since Lee Sin has been picked away, and you got a very strong team fight already just by having Rumble and Jarvan together, and you get good comfort picks for you. About, again, this double AD composition. Koro normally does not prefer to run Ezreal that often. It's more about LeBlanc, it's about Victor. LeBlanc is open in this game here if he wants to take it later on, and there's going to be no counter pick because Castellan is going on 5.4, and Zed obviously was already banned away by GE Tigers.
Crumbs, I want to touch on the fact that GE Tigers have basically insta-locked Lee Sin and Lissandra. You were highlighting we were going to see Lee. Cloud9, are they a little rattled considering the difference?
Right off the bat, you have to look at the synergy between the picks as well as the top lane players. Now, Lee and Lissandra will pretty much guaranteed win any 2v2 against somebody else. Huge burst from Lee Sin, huge lockdown from Lissandra, and now all of a sudden, Cloud9 forced to take a Jarvan, which is a nerf champion on this patch. No armor on his flag, and his early game is going to be weaker than Lee Sin.
Agree. It's a risk, but Jarvan is still a fantastic team fighter, and when you combine him again with this Rumble, we know Cloud9 can play that style. The problem is if you look at their lanes at the moment and their setup, you mentioned how they're going to lose the 2v2 fights for sure. That suddenly forces you into a lane swap, and that we have seen a lot of teams use Graves. You swap him, you fast push a tower, you get an early PS sword, and then you go down and fight the Corki 2 and 2 before he gets Trinity Force. I think that's going to be the go-to tactic for Cloud9. They gotta go for that lane swap here. Rumble as well needs a lot less gold to be efficient compared to Alessandra. So lane swap coming in from Cloud9, honestly. Kennen mid lane against LeBlanc. That's a tricky one. It's a skill matchup. If you die like once early, Kennen is done. He's out. I mean, LeBlanc is just going to kill him over and over.
No surprises, though. We expected the Kennen from high in the mid lane. Now, looking at the compositions, you have Cloud9 with a massive AoE composition, and a worrying factor for the GE Tigers is the fact that they have no tanks. Now, they have shown incredible prowess in team fighting with kite compositions that do not have tanks, but the Cloud9 team comp will kill anybody pretty much instantly with the knockups from Jarvan, long-range Rumble ultimate, Kennen, and the Graves follow-up.
Yeah, we will see in game. We'll be back with the first game here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship and our casters right after this.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship here in Katowice. My name is Joe Miller, and joining me today for our first games are none other than Doa and Monte Cristo. You guys at home were, looking for this TriCast for a while, so we thought, you know what? Why not? Let's do it. First question of the day, though: can Cloud9 beat the GE Tigers?
Anything is theoretically possible, but in the realistic universe in which we reside currently, it's a very low chance. I'd give it about 5% probably. Taking a look at this draft right off the bat, I mean, if we look at the GE Tigers so far, undefeated 9-0 on Corki, undefeated on LeBlanc, undefeated on Lee Sin, undefeated this season on Nami. The one thing that's throwing me off a little bit is the Lissandra pick. Not a normal GE Tigers grab, but with some nerfs, it does make a little sense to other champions in the pool.
True enough. Well, looks like it's time to get into our first game, GE Tigers versus Cloud9. And there they are, Cloud9 from North America on the right, the GE Tigers from Seoul, South Korea on the left. And we are ready to get it on here in our first game in the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice.
Going to be an absolutely fantastic opener here. I think especially if you're a GE Tigers fan, I want to touch on the Kennen pick, because that was the controversial one. We were saying, in the last pick, you can't really pick Kennen here, but they went for it anyway.
Well, how are you going to get Kennen in onto Nami? How are you going to catch anyone like Corki or LeBlanc? I just don't see this Kennen doing anything in team fights.
Yeah, it's going to be really ridiculous. Also very flash reliant in this composition. And it's difficult because the thing about the Korean teams that are here, CJ and GE, they just happen to be probably the two best teams at kiting in Korea, and that's how they play the game right now. And all-inning with Kennen is a very risky pick.
And we may have a bit of cheesiness going on from Cloud9 in the river. Lurking in the brush is everybody but High, basically. Kennen, already afraid to go in. I can't blame him.
Yeah, interesting. Most Korean teams will just fan at level 1. We rarely see elaborate level 1s these days. Gorilla's just not going to catch that.
Well, he's waiting. He's spamming that control thread, I believe. Oh, and there he is. Elimination. Can they get him with some CC? They already get the flash. He's going to try the aqua picture, but that's first blood for Cloud9 Bulls. The cheese pays off. And that is an early kill for North America.
Well, I mean, Gorilla was just spamming his emotes in the brush, not exactly paying attention. So early kill, that'll help Balls out a lot. Of course, Balls an excellent Rumble player, very consistent out of that top lane, and that's going to be very helpful for C9, at least in this laning phase.
And this is what we heard earlier, maybe the key is that it is best of one here, and that you can do something a little bit crazy to start things off. Elimination there. Going a little bit far through the brush. Nice little dodge from Prey. And, well, they've got the start that they wanted here, Cloud9. My question now is, though, what do they do with this first blood on Balls? How much can he dominate Smeb in that top lane? Will he dominate? Is Lee going to spend more time now helping Smeb to get back into this matchup?
I mean, it's a possibility. Lee normally doesn't focus on the mid lane. He's a very defensive, Kuro that is a very defensive laner. So we see some trading happening in the bottom side. But it's going to be hard to get out of this because Balls is such a strong Rumble player. He will hit a mid-game power spike where they are going to dominate the Dragon. I think G is going to have to give up probably some of the first few objectives at this point in the game.
We'll see if Alga Medios deciding he doesn't have an opportunity. I gotta say, I'm really glad we're getting into cast with Joe Monty. I feel like we're really living the high life. It's Miller time now.
That's right. Truly the champagne of casters.
You're so kind. The champagne.
The champagne of casters. Joe Miller.
That's an interesting title that I've not heard before.
Little American humor for you there, Joe.
We already made a deal that Star Wars has to stay out of it because my knowledge is not that solid there. As Prey and Elimination again, just exchanging a bit of damage. Elimination already getting back up to decent health status. This mid lane was a big question for us. How is High going to perform on Kennen against Kuro playing LeBlanc, who we know and we've seen time and time again, a good start for a LeBlanc player spells disaster.
Well, he's already been getting poked pretty heavily, but that's not terribly surprising. A little bit down on CS. We'll see if that turns around as the lane kind of pushes up. But anytime a lane starts to push up for someone who's not the GE Tigers, you have to worry about Lee coming in and just ruining your day. I'm still waiting for what we talked about a little bit earlier, to see how Lee is going to handle the top lane. Like Monty mentioned, Lee is usually up in the top lane more than anywhere else. But I think the real thing we're waiting for is to see when Balls gets that probably early haunting, guys. We'll see how much help Smeb needs at this point. Right now, he's gotten a little CS lead for himself.
Yeah, that is a nice advantage. And just looking at C9's composition overall, they really do well with this backline assassination. They can instantly get in with Equalizer and with that collateral damage. So there is a lot of threats. And Expert Desk was mentioning how it's very dangerous to play these kite compositions because you have to be so precise. Smeb dodges a skill shot right there. And Cloud9, if they get the right flash engages, but it really is the story of this game going to be about playing around Cloud9's flashes.
Yeah.
They have to make those fights really, really count and take objectives off of them because they can only fight once every 5 minutes.
Well, look at this. We are seeing Lee waiting around that mid lane.
Here we go.
To the wall. They managed to get the chains down, and Hai is dead just like that. Meteos had actually come around there, but decided to head southwards in the river. Didn't check that side brush, and that will be the first kill. And meanwhile, down in this bottom lane, Sneaky and Prey going to be going at each other as well. Gorilla also took a bit of damage in that, but no kills in the bottom lane. But the start there in that mid is what we were basically expecting to see.
Yeah. And he got spotted by a ward there, so at least Sneaky and Elimination know that he's on his way.
And the real issue, too, with the Kennen in the mid lane is it looks like he's going to have to build into Abyssal first in this matchup. And Kennen is a very item-dependent champion. If he doesn't have that Abyssal in, especially if he doesn't have a Zhonya's Hourglass, he simply can't last out team fights. So if you set that Kennen behind early, he's just going to get blown up without that Zhonya's Hourglass later in the game. And with LeBlanc being a very bursty, high damage champion, having that Abyssal first this is a really, really rough time just because of how these team fights are going to play out. And maybe they won't now be able to abuse that power spike from Rumble and the fact that they got the first blood.
Well, what's amazing me right now is just the CS lead that Kuro's been able to get against Hai already in the mid lane. I mean, he does have that one death, but 43-25 already. That one hurts a little bit. Meteos coming up to the top lane. We'll see if he can get anything done to Smeb here. Smeb just hit that level 6, so he's got a little bit more safety now, but of course Balls has an equalizer as well. Here he comes, Meteos coming in, there's the equalizer going down, now the QE combo misses, that lets Smeb flash out, gets out on the E as well, and will he survive? Will they dive this one? Meanwhile, Hai dives again in the mid lane, and it looks like Smeb, what? He got the kill on Balls in top, so 2 more for the GE Tigers, I can't believe it. How did Smeb do that?
He baited him with the ultimate. Basically, he held it for a really long time, going in under the turret, and everything just kind of falling apart for C9 already in the laning phase. And Kuro's been playing so far back, it's been difficult for Hai to CS safely under the threat coming in. Here's a teleport.
Smeb may have overstayed his welcome here.
This is an interesting choice as well, because Meteos is taking the aggro and he's going to go down.
What?
Smeb is still alive.
Are you kidding me?
He's now underneath the tower as well. That is just incredible stuff from the GE Tigers in the top lane. And I think Balls might well be in trouble here. There is Lee diving onto him again. Kuro's going to come around. Balls, it's over for you, my friend. Lee will get another one onto a killing spree, and just like that, it's 5-1 to the GE Tigers.
What an MVP play for Lee right there, getting the kick that saves Smeb, sticking around to let Kuro come up and be part of the action as well. This is the teamwork that makes the GE Tigers the #1 team in Korea, and Cloud9, unfortunately for them, is seeing it here in its full potential in Katowice.
Yeah, let's take a look at this play that happened again in the mid lane because we missed out on the start of it. Lee with the pink ward in the brush, Hai walking over, but just gets instantly annihilated. Pretty dangerous to go over on that side of the map when you don't have adequate vision control. And honestly, I mean, I have to say, it looks like Cloud9 is just really desperate to make some of these plays because that is very uncharacteristic forward aggression from Cloud9. It seems like they feel like they have to take some big risks in this game, and it really isn't paying off. Lee was sitting right there with the counter gank.
And the teleport was very odd.
Yeah, like some of the items that have just been finished as well. Smeb, who, you know, he just kind of played it coolly underneath his tower, now got that Abyssal Scepter in already. See, down the middle as well, that Kuro won't be too far away from moving up. Gorilla actually coming up to this mid lane, spotted out by a fairly decent ward there, but was a pink, was taken away. And that mid lane, 71-44 CS after Hai died twice in a row. And this is just free time for Kuro in the mid.
Well, maybe a bit of a dive here in bot lane. We'll see if they go in. Gorilla's getting back nearly
TP is
in
up
time.
for Smeb.
Yeah, he could come down and join in. Gorilla, they see the Dark Binding. They're going to take him out really quick. The exhaust on the Meteos. He takes one extra turret hit. But so far, Prey okay. Meanwhile, Bottles gets jumped on in the top lane. That's an easy kill.
And it's unfortunate for the GE Tigers that Lee is actually getting all these kills. Here's the TP.
And Prey goes in with the Valkyrie, scares Meteos away, and Smeb comes down just to keep his ADC safe.
Oh, they're sandwiched here, though. This could be really bad for Sneaky and Lemon Nation. They chose to run backwards, which is probably not going to help them out all that much. Sneaky will be the focus. Here comes Kuro as well, and Lemon Nation won't be able to escape this one. Smeb will pick that one up. That's 3 for him now, 4 for Lee after the kill up top, and he's just getting out of control.
Yeah, Sneaky and Lemon Nation getting far behind enemy lines, and they really paid for it, unfortunately. Lee scares high away from the recall in mid here, and I gotta say, with a 3K gold lead, sub 10 minutes here, 8 to 2 kills, it is looking pretty one-sided so far.
I'm just really surprised that C9 is repeatedly going past these turrets and trying for these dives, because that's really just not what we typically see from them at all. And the desperation is such a huge factor right now.
I think that's a perfect word for it right now. I think it certainly is just desperation. I mean, they really want to make something happen, but really, I mean, the safer game may have been a better option, but we'll see what happens now. Lemon Nation just warding that dragon. There's been so much action in the lanes that we haven't really seen any team make a motion towards dragon yet.
Yeah, I think the problem is when you make one desperate move and that goes wrong, you have to kind of make a second one to try and pull it back. And so far, those 2 desperate moves have not really worked out for Cloud9. And both junglers currently headed towards the bottom side of the map. And you see the ping there onto the top of Meteos. Lee was spotted coming around as well. And well, it's definitely the GE Tigers who would have the upper hand if they do decide to fight there.
Yeah, it's a pretty risky scenario. Although Prey has not completed his Trinity Force yet, so there is a little bit, I think, extra burst damage coming out of Cloud9 if they want it. They also will have TP up first coming in, but Deep Ward's already going down right here. Lee and Kuro, big wraparound.
Yeah, they really want that dragon, too. We'll see if they can handle it. I gotta think Prey's got to be close to finishing his Trinity Force by now.
Should be another few minutes, actually, but he does have 2 assists, so maybe he'll get it maybe around the 14-minute mark instead. So, yeah, only 819 gold in the bank at the moment, so it'll still take some time to complete that phage, and then the rest of the force.
So I'm just taking turret hits. He was desperate for those minions in the top lane, but this, again, you know, does just keep that enormous pressure on that top lane turret and onto balls. That turret's ready to go down any second.
We'll see if he can actually finish that one off. The bottom lane again was a bit of an exchange of damage. They saw the Dark Binding coming out of Lemon Nation. There is that turret going super low on the top side of the map. That's just one hit and that will go down, and we'll see how desperate Smeb really is to finish that one up, keeping that lane push all the way up there. And I don't think Balls will be able to, however much he wants to, hold on to that first turret in the game.
Smeb's got such a massive CS lead as well right now, too. There's really no pressure. And Lee going for this dragon by himself. Now, there is a ward there for C9, but will there be any response?
Lee has to get out of here. Yeah, you see him pop right over as soon as people start to move out of lane. He didn't have pressure in mid and bottom. That is a very risky attempt to make. Thought maybe they wouldn't have a ward. They can see the back.
Over the wall, high pot side ultimate, but it will be a kill. Lee managed to get there in time. Meanwhile, Dark Binding onto Prey. He's going to take a little bit of damage. Exhaust onto Sneaky as Prey gets away. And there's that tidal wave use. Can Gorilla and Prey win this 2v2?
Oh, it's going to be tight here as Meteos comes down as well. He drags into the back. He'll finish up Prey. Oh, no! He cancelled the auto attack. Sneaky did get it. But Meteos now battling with Gorilla, who will flash out of the Cataclysm. I think he needs 2 more auto attacks here. Oh, you know, land the bubble. That's all good as well. They managed to get, again, a 2 for 1. And it's not over because Smeb's here. Sneaky will go down, and now they're going to chase down Lemon Nation, who again is running basically to no man's land, especially now as Kuro's chasing. As we do get a pause, Lemon Nation gets to live on for a little while longer.
He gets to contemplate his impending doom.
It's nice to get a little reflective moment.
It's like usually you get a few moments of your life flash before your eyes, but he's like seeing his life, his team's history, basically, you know, the history of Minnesota, where he's from. He's getting like a lot of time now to experience different things.
Wow, I mean, this game is just a slaughter. There's no really other way to put it.
Unfortunately.
I'm very surprised by Cloud9's overly aggressive play. I really hope that they can settle some of these nerves and move forward in the tournament, because I think they do have a strong chance to get out of this group if they don't continue to make these very, very bold plays.
Well,
they had such a good... They had such a good level 1 where they got that first blood, but they just didn't transition it into anything else and really overplayed their hand with insufficient warding, no knowledge of where Lee was, and pushing too far up in the mid lane.
Well, we seem to have an issue with Lemon Nation's PC. We can see on the bottom right of the screen there, the admin's helping him out.
It's like, can you do anything that makes your champions like go away from my champion?
Can I get a speed boost here?
Well, I think it is important too to remember, like you mentioned, Monty, that although this game is clearly very one-sided, Cloud9, if you look at Group A, if you look at the other teams, SK, Yoi, Flash Wolves, they still do have a very good chance to get out. I mean, this isn't the end of the road by any stretch for Cloud9 here.
Right. Well, this game, too, a little bit atypical of GE, is actually Lee having so many kills.
Yeah.
Typically, the GE Tigers are very good at getting the kills onto Prey and Kuro. This is one of the very few games that I've seen Lee actually get all these last hits. They really emphasize handing it over. It's been a couple unlucky ticks, but here we go. We're going to be back in the game.
Yeah, looks like we are. Elimination still being chased, and Smeb just picked up that kill. You guys will see in a second. Meanwhile, there we go. Grab the kill.
Catch the last of it.
Alert.
It was kind of obvious that was going to go the way it did. Meanwhile, Lee said, all right, they're all dead now. Now I can finally go back into the Dragon Pit and just solo that one down myself. 5-0-1 is Lee. He's sat on about 1,500 gold to go back and spend here. Bear in mind, we're 13 minutes into this game, guys. He is somewhat fed at this point. We see Morella Nomicon as well as another blasting one there for Kuro in the mid lane. Abyssal not done yet by High, and it's just going from bad to worse, really. Interested to see now how Cloud9 handle these next few minutes of this game after losing that first dragon and being so far behind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at what High's building right now. He went for the Ruby Crystal, not even having enough money to finish his Abyssal Scepter right here, and so he's delaying that power spike even further. Kennen is probably never going to do anything at all in this game at this point. They have the hard engage with the Jarvan, but there's just not going to be any follow-up. GE has too much mobility. They will be able to kite out of any kind of engage that C9 offers and just poke them to death. Corki's in that power spike right now. 14 minutes with that turning force, and here we go.
Right on the balls, they pop that ultimate. Kuro comes as well. He's been stealing so many kills. Kuro, he just shows up at the last moment to grab it. 2-0-6 now. Feeling good. And they're going to take that top lane as well. So here we are, 14 minutes, nearly 15 into the game, and a 7,000 gold lead for the GE Tigers. Certainly a strong showing early on for them here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
And the reaction here from Cloud9 is High and Meteos to kind of half push the mid lane, which they didn't really even get that much damage onto that outer turret. And to be honest, with the items that Kuro has, he can probably come in there, do a decent amount of damage and keep them off that turret completely. And if anyone else comes around, they may even be in danger. However, they are sending Lemon Nation up there. Is Kuro diving in? They're going to take the aggro there. And Kuro may go down here. No, they've actually gone for his clone. He flashes over the wall and somehow survives it. Meteos is low. And Lee is coming around the backside. Will he fancy his chances? He will. He lands the Q. He gets the kill, and Lemon Nation will also go down to Smeb. Kuro surviving through all of it, and now it's High that they're chasing down.
You don't often see a jungler soloing the mid laner, but he's going to try it.
He's the same level as High right now, and there's the kill from Kuro. I mean, there's just really nothing he can do, especially since High is not even built for any armor whatsoever. That Lee with the Warrior enchant just cuts right through him. Sneaky.
And the Brutalizer, and now Sneaky just gets blown up under turret. It is a total rout at this point for Cloud9. I can't believe Kuro got out in the mid lane. 39 hit points he had.
I mean, he did a good job of fooling them with his clone. He stood in the Cataclysm and the Slicing Maelstrom and danced his clone around until his W came up and he could actually make it out with the flash.
Incredible play. Leaves him now 3-0-6 to 7 kills in the top lane, 6 in the jungle. It's only Prey that's not really been getting many on the board. And, well, now Ball's going to have a chunk back of damage onto Lee, but honestly, Kuro's waiting for cooldowns at this point to finish off Balls. And
no one else
there we go.
Balls.
It was close. chains coming out anyway, and an easy kill, basically, completely out of position. Cloud9, and I mean, obviously, at this stage of it, they're just not in this game. Heads are probably already in. Okay, what do we do later?
Yeah, I think at this point, you just kind of go back to concentrating on the fundamentals, kind of start saying, hey, all right, what happened this game? What do we need to think about for our next one? They do have a little bit of time, you know, before they have their next game here.
Lee's just building damage right now, going for a Hex Drinker as his next item. This is very uncharacteristic of him. Of course, went for the standard Sightstone first, but he's just been all over the map. Smeb has been on point with his teleports so far this game, and it's, I mean, there really isn't much to say. Cloud9 is getting played and outplayed in every possible category.
Well, I think one of the really scary things too is, like we mentioned earlier, we don't see Smeb play a lot of Lissandra. Oh, Lee, a little bit of trap set for him. There's a nice dark binding from Lemon Nation. He's gonna kick away Sneaky, flash into the Dragon Pit, not gonna make it out there. There's a kill for Sneaky. Meanwhile, in the jungle, Tidal Wave goes through. Ball's in a lot of trouble yet again. Kuro claims his 5th kill of the game, and meanwhile, Smeb coming right back with that teleport for another one, going over the wall on a Sneaky. Look at that burst from Lissandra, but it's no surprise. Meanwhile, High popping the ult to try to get away, and Kuro gonna be able to grab another one.
Oh, he's going low here, though. We'll see if he can finish off High. Yeah, you can see he's a little bit wary about that. Takes the Shuriken and says, okay, now I definitely can't push this one.
I'm conditioned at this point. Oh, come on, Kuro. Don't make me look bad. Oh.
Sorry, it's High's day to live, though.
I guess so.
Well, 18 minutes into this game. Over a 10,000 gold lead at this point. 21-5 in kills. We were expecting a GE Tigers win.
We were.
I'm not sure we were expecting quite the complete full-on domination, but we were also maybe not expecting Cloud9 to make those risky plays, which makes a scoreline like this possible.
Well, and when you have a good jungler like Lee and he can get those reads and know where the enemy is going to be, also a testament to their early game vision control, you can counter some of these very risky plays.
Well, the cannon pick, you know, was obviously not wise into this composition, and then the very risky plays just countered so perfectly by GE, like you said, largely due to Lee's awareness of where everything is going on the map. It just, you know, you try to get something done fast against a team like GE Tigers, you know you're unfavored, but sometimes it backfires. Meanwhile, Elimination getting jumped on here.
Yeah, that was interesting. Black shielded away there. And now that turret, though, is taking a good chunk of damage. All 5 from the GE Tigers are there. Sneaky was still on the bottom side. There is the Q landing. Bulls gets kicked back. He will go down straight away. Did get off an equalizer before he died. Meteos, they're off on the backside as well. They don't really care about them at this point. It's more about finishing off that inhibitor turret, get the inhibitor as well, and now they can turn around and maybe wait those 20 seconds until Baron spawns.
Well, yeah, really. I mean, if we look at how that fight went down too, you could see Meteos was trying to get the flank in so they could actually land High slicing Maelstrom effectively. Yeah. Unfortunately for him, Gorilla just turned around. You didn't really see it on your screen, but just used the tidal wave, right, to zone Meteos out, so he never really had an opportunity to engage right there while they were taking out the front line. And a bit sloppy by GE. I mean, using the Lissandra ultimate on a black shielded target, obviously maybe not the best play in the world, but at this point they're so far ahead they just needed to push forward. Meteos has to flash out.
Oh, Q onto High though, a little bit of damage from Kuro. From over the wall, they did hit Prey with that dark binding. Siege begins. It feels like we should be like 35 minutes into this game when you look at it, but we just hit 20 minutes now.
And looking forward to the rest of this tournament, I was very skeptical about team's ability to play this Kennen into any Korean. It's not a pick that we have seen in Korea at all. And the reason is, it's if you are a well-coordinated team, you can kite it out, and it's very limiting in terms of when you can actually team fight. Now, we've seen the team fight limiters with champions like Gnar, but of course it's nowhere near as long, and even those slight changes to his rage have made him no longer really picked up in any meta at all, and Kennen's a pretty extreme version of that, in my opinion.
Well, it's just so easy to counter that engage, you know, any sort of knock-up, any sort of hard CC will stop in its tracks. If you don't have flash up, it's kind of the end of it.
Yeah, mobility as well, which, you know, is rather abundant in the GE Tigers team at this stage. I mean, you just walk away from it at the end of the day, and with that gold total hitting 41,000 to just the not quite 30,000 of Cloud9. This game is looking to move into its final stages, that's for sure. GE Tigers obviously have the ability to go towards Baron at this point, and I mean, they don't particularly need a Baron, but they'll also be quite happy if Cloud9 even try and contest it and probably ace them.
Well, they can easily turn off this and have a very good fight too. I don't even think Cloud9 can contest this at all.
And looking at this too, I'm a bit surprised that Balls went for the Leandries with no tank on GE. That's not a very efficient item at all.
Oh boy, Aqua Prison comes in. Wow, Lemon Nation just disappears. Sneaky gets knocked up by that tidal wave. Balls comes in. They do manage to get a couple kills for Cloud9. Baron gets taken by GE, and I think the order of business is disengaged. Balls comes in. Lee and Prey very low. It looks like they'll be able to get out with that Baron buff. So losing 3 people, the best fight for C9 yet. And a little bit of gold.
That was a bit cocky by GE. They could have easily turned on that. If we look at how much mobility they had, it was a split call. GE was half on the Baron, could have easily sent everyone right over that wall alongside the tidal wave. We look coming in here, Kuro will just eliminate Lemon Nation, and there's the tidal wave. Prey Valks off the equalizer to finish the Baron. Obviously dangerous to Valk over that wall, but pretty poor Baron play right there from GE. It's not really going to be consequential. They still have 2 members with the buff. They still have an inhibitor down. They still have just an absolutely massive lead. And Cloud9, if we look at them as a team, they have been so incredibly successful domestically for so long. And there is no doubt that that Hai is a world-class shot caller. But when it comes to international tournaments, they just can't keep up with individual skill, and regardless of their success at rotations, at those late game plays, they just fall too far behind to do much of anything whatsoever.
I think the biggest thing to me is that as the GE Tigers, you see this Kennen pick coming from miles and miles away, and they prepared for it so well. Cloud9 picked it anyway. I mean, what do you really expect?
Yeah, you know, you may have that second plan in mind, so when they have a team that's going to be able to kite Kennen around so much, you say, okay, we don't pick Kennen now at this point.
Zed was banned out.
Yeah.
They last picked it on red side, and Hai's champion pool is a major weakness. And also, what really helped, if we go back to the pick and bans, is the fact that the Vi was taken out, because that means that it's less of a hard, Jarvan will be less of a hard engage, especially with the nerfs to his tankiness on this patch. And so, by removing that, it makes it a lot more difficult to follow up on that Kennen ultimate.
Well, that's the thing, is you really need to shut down Meteos as much as possible as well, because he is such that playmaker, and he does, carry Cloud9 through so many wins that by forcing him onto that Jarvan, you kind of hit them with the double whammy, rather.
And look what he's building, too. He has Brutalizer in Last Whisper. He knows that their only chance is to blow somebody up, and here we go.
And there's the ultimate out of Kennen. Guess what? It didn't really do a whole lot. Meteos is going to get in there to do some damage, but they're going to try and chase him down. Prey actually falling low as well. He might actually get picked off here if Balls can land a harpoon, but look at the bubble. Locks up 2 men, and they turn it back around, and they'll come in and absolutely melt them. That's the Zhonya's used by Smed, but Kuro's going to get his cooldowns back in a second, and Lemon Nation trying his best to run away. Will try and even turn around for a kill, but he will be finished off. And that is the ace for the GE Tigers.
And our first ace of Intel Extreme Masters here at the World Championships again, and GE is going to use that ace to take an inhibitor. Probably just going to be able to rotate right over and take all the others if they don't want to end right now. Well, actually, the death timers are so low. I keep forgetting it's like 20-something minutes into this game.
Yeah, they can't close right now, but they will take that mid inhibitor one more time and get out of there. And if we take a look at that fight too, I mean, I don't blame Meteos for this build. I actually think that it's one of the best possible solutions to this scenario.
Gotta do something.
You have to get one of those kills and hope that you can turn a pick. It's also going to be surprising because GE will not expect that Jarvan to do that much damage. They haven't had very much armor, especially Kuro. And even though he's LeBlanc, if you can get one cycle of cooldowns off on him fast enough, you can really chunk him out of that fight right there. You saw Prey respond instantly, flashing over the wall, kind of into the equalizer, a bit questionable, but he did manage to kite Hai out in the end of that little engagement.
Very true. Another blue buff going on to Kuro. It looks like Sneak will be able to grab the red. Lee walks right into that one. Kicks Lemon Nation away, still taking a lot of damage. He's in big trouble now, no flash. And Lee just getting a bit cocky there.
I definitely shouldn't be walking into that side of the jungle.
Like Kachani is that, dude?
Yeah, that's, I think GE Not putting in 100% in this game anymore. That will drag things out, however, of course. 5v4 for a Dragon that's coming up. Pretty massive mistake there by Lee. Really unnecessary to go after an enemy red buff under these circumstances.
Party in the Speed Shrine.
Yeah, problem is that Cloud9 are stuck defending their base at this point in time, so actually that Dragon will just be finished off by Prey and Smep, and that will be going the way of the GE Tigers. So far, well, so good. It's possibly an understatement in this one, if I'm honest.
Well, all the base turrets are down except for the Nexus one too. So yeah, so far so good. 27 minutes with 2 inhibitors down and 1 unprotected. Yeah, it's pretty good for GE. I'm sure they're quite happy with how things are working out right now. And we may be in for one of the shortest games I think I've seen in Season 5.
Yeah, High also just opting to go for the Haunting Guys right here. They just want as much possible burst damage. They're not looking for these prolonged team fights. This is a complete reaction to the fact that they are this far behind. And this is C9 is smart. This is a really good adaptation considering the circumstances.
Kuro comes in, takes about a little over half of Meteos' health off, and that's going to help push him away to possibly take this final inhibitor. Looks like Smeb's going to dodge that Dark Binding, and yeah, it doesn't look like there's much C9 can do. I feel like they're obligated to come in and try something, but no. Just watching that inhibitor goes down, not having Helios there hurts so much, and RGE ready to close here.
Looks like they may be going for they will start to move in, and they've got super minions, a couple already bashing away on that turret as Meteos again is going to try and get in there. High will also ulti in, but the first kill will come onto Meteos, and now the GE Tigers going to look to turn this one around, and look at the damage coming in from Smeb, from Kuro, and one by one they're going to fall like dominoes here. Lemonation trying to get away. Kuro will move in, actually gets hit by the binding, but Smeb will be the follow-up for them. Kuro again for what feels like the 10th time this game, walking away with hardly any health left. The Nexus turrets go down. The Nexus will follow here, and the GE Tigers are going to pick up the first game of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship in just a second. There we go.
Hey, goodbye, High. There's Ace. There's the game. GG. GE Tigers. What?